Okay, so this is a tutorial on how to bring a bitmap program into the V-Carve program. A bitmap into a V-Carve program, and convert the lines from the bitmap into vectors so that you can export it to a CNC router and cut a design that you want to cut. So you'll be working basically from an open palette. You should have grade 8 wood design icon on your desktop already. If you don't have that, see Mr. Moreau or ask another student and they'll help you out. Open it up. Inside that you'll have a Moreau scan lesson. This is just a lesson for you to play around with if you don't have your own bitmap. If you do have your own bitmap, you'll find it in your folder according to the class that you're in. So anyhow, you want to do is click and drag a bitmap onto your desktop so that you've got it in your computer basically loaded, and the V-Carve program doesn't have to go onto the iDrive to find the information. It's just locally in your computer. Then also open up the V-Carve Pro program. That'll take a minute to open up. There it is, V-Carve Pro. And it'll open up a blank file for you. So first thing to do would be to create a new file. So click on that, top left corner. You want to make sure that you're working in inches, although most of you should have these default settings. But just in case it doesn't, you want to double check that it's in inches, not in millimeters. And that you have 11 inches by 11 inches for the width and the height. And your thickness is 0.75 inches. Also, you'll notice that you can zero basically the cutting tool on the top of the material or the bottom. Make sure that it's zeroed on the top of the material. Don't worry about modeling resolution. Standard and Canadian Maple both will be fine. And click OK. Next thing to do, we've got a blank page now to work with. We want to bring in the bitmap that we have on our desktop. So there's two folders here. There's one that says import vectors from a file. It's not the one we're looking for. These are not the droids we're looking for. We want to import a bitmap for tracing. So make sure that you're clicking on that folder, and that'll open up a browser window that'll help you to navigate to the bitmap that's on your desktop. Open up the Miro scan lesson bitmap, or open up your own bitmap, whichever you're doing. Click open, and this will take a little while as well, usually. Just be patient. There it goes. Now you'll notice that you actually have the entire page scanned onto your blank V-Carve document. And what you want to do is you want to just take the lines that you've got off of that and erase this blank page, and then repaste the lines onto the blank document. And this is how we do it. So we click the selection button and drag a box around just the image itself so that it's selected. Forgetting something. Yes. We can't do that just yet. There's an important step that we're missing. We have to transform the image, the photograph basically, into a vector first before we can manipulate it, move it, make it bigger, or center it, or erase the lines from the photocopy. So my apologies, I forgot. We have to go to actually a function under the create vectors tools. Trace bitmap is what we're looking for. So click on trace bitmap. There we go. Now we're looking for, we have to adjust the settings on this a little bit. Don't worry about the top, black and white is fine. Threshold in the center will work, okay. You want to do the very first setting. Actually, I think we can move this one. Yeah, that's right. If we do move the top one, it'll darken the line until all the greens come out. You don't necessarily have to do that though. You could leave it at 5. You could also adjust it up a little bit so that where some of the spaces are in the line, they start to fill in. You can see that happening there. So maybe try adjusting that, but don't bring it too much so it becomes grainy. There we go. And then the bottom setting is the other setting that we can adjust. And basically what you want to do is you just want to take all the fading off of it so that it darkens the line. Click preview. That's how it will look. And then click apply. Make sure you've clicked both those things so that you can apply the changes that were made to it. You can close that now. And now we can click on the selection tool. And we can select the image itself. There we go. Now just the vector lines are showing up. Now there's actually something before we do this. Well, we can do it after as well. I think we'll do it after just to sort of explain it a little bit better. You want to copy this image that you've selected, so you can go into the edit and you can go copy, or of course you see the Control C shortcut, you can just press Control C to copy it as well. So I'll copy it here. Now I want to select the entire page, so I'll deselect it by clicking off of the image, and then again I'll select the entire image so the whole thing is selected, and I'm going to press the delete button to get rid of it. This again is going to take a minute. The V-Carve program has to think this is a big image that it's getting rid of, so it's got a lot of information to process. Now in the memory you still have the vector lines that you've copied and pasted. So I'm going to just simply press Control V, and then it'll the image will appear back onto my screen. You can go back into the edit mode and press paste there as well if you're not 100% sure how to do that. Now, so you've got your vector lines there now. We're going to center them over the piece of wood, and basically this will be the piece of wood that we're cutting afterwards. So I'm going to select the entire thing again, and then there's a certain way to make a selection so our transformation arrows come up. And I think, there we go, you have to select and click on one of the vector lines so that all of the transformation arrows come up. If you don't do that, if you click somewhere off of the image, like here, they don't come up, it just disappears again. So you have to click on the lines so that you get the transformation arrows. Click and drag on the center box, and then you can put that center box right over the crosshairs in the middle of the page, and you'll see that these crosshairs line up with the 0, 0 and the 0, 0 over here. That's right in the middle, and that's where your tool is going to be centered. And when you've got at this point, you could press Control, file save rather, and save your program. That's one thing you might want to think about doing. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll save this as something, that way if program ever fails, you'll have a copy of it and you can go back to where you left off. You don't have to start from scratch. So I'm going to name it with my last name, Moreau, and this is a CRV file. It's a V-Carve program file. That's basically it's a carve file. Okay, and I'll again save it on my desktop. Later on you can put it in your folder if you want to. Okay, next thing to do is I'm going to zoom in here to show you a concept that we're dealing with. You notice the vector lines, we've got 2 of them all the way around for each set we've got a set of 2 here and a set of 2 here. To zoom in, I pressed the zoom selected button and I just clicked on it. If you want it to zoom out, I believe it's hold the shift key. Yeah, that's right. And then you can click the mouse again and it zooms out again. I want to select my selection tool again, this little arrow, and I want to select one of the 2 vector lines in the inside set and then one of the 2 vector lines on the outside set, doesn't matter which one, and delete it. You don't want both those lines because if you have them, then the V-Carve router bit will cut 2 passes. You only want it to cut 1 pass. That's what you're looking for. Okay, now you can even resave it if you wanted to. It's probably an important thing to do, to resave your file many times. I'm going to go back to my my zoom button. There's lots of different functions in the zoom. You can zoom to fit. That's what I just clicked right here, so it just fit right back into my window. Next thing to do is to be creating a toolpath. I'm going to open the toolpath window on the right hand side and I'm going to press the pin button that keeps it open. First thing to do is we want to select a type of toolpath that we're making. We can make a profile toolpath which cuts a line all the way around the image. That's what we're looking for. You can make a pocket toolpath as well that would cut like a pocket inside, and you can have a look at the little 3D images here. They basically say what these things are. But we're doing the profile toolpath because we want the cutting tool to cut all the way around the image. So click on that and it'll open up all the options for that type of toolpath. The start depth we are going to look at. We want it to start at the top of the material at 0, 0. That's what we set at the very beginning. The cutting depth is 0.77 of an inch, which means it cuts all the way through and goes a little bit past the bottom. The thickness of the material is 0.75, so it keeps going a little bit beyond the bottom. You could even adjust that to 0.78. Okay, the tool that we're using, it's always going to be an end mill, but you can see all the tools that are available. These are all the different types of tools, like a V-cut tool or a ball nose or whatever you want to do. If you're making an engraving, you'd use a V-cut bit, for example. And I wouldn't worry about any of these settings or anything or change anything. There's the diameter of the tool, 0.25. It's a 1/4 inch of a bit. That shows you the type of bit it is, how it looks, and the diameter, etc. Pass depth. That's how far down it goes each time it makes a pass. Step over is how far over it goes if it were making a pocket. Spindle speed is how fast the tool rotates per minute. Feed rate is the rate that it moves through the material. You don't have to worry about understanding any of that. And the plunge rate is how far down it goes, or how fast down it goes, rather. So just press OK. You don't even have to open that, but just in case you're ever wondering what was the tool that you're using was all about. Machine vectors. Again, don't worry about this. This just shows you the direction that it will cut. It cuts climb milling, as they say, so it cuts into the material as opposed to conventional milling. I'd go more into that when I would talk about different kinds of saw blades, but just have it selected the outside / right setting, and don't worry about anything else except for maybe the climb. Make sure that it's set to climb. Should be, though. Don't worry about last pass. Just if you wanted it to be a specific size of step over and feed rate and all that for the last pass, you could set that kind of thing right here. Don't worry about it. But the tabs, you definitely want to click on adding tabs. What tabs do is hold the piece on the very last pass so that it doesn't fly off basically when it cuts through the last bit of the material and damage your material. So you want to click the edit your tabs as well. Oh, and it says, oh, there's no suitable vectors selected. At least one vector must be selected for this operation. And they're right, we haven't selected anything. So you have to select the vectors, and you have 2 vectors to select. So I just clicked on the inside one, hold the shift key down, and select the second one as well. So you have both sets of vectors selected, inside ones and outside. Click edit tabs. Now you've got your tabs selected, your vector selected, so it knows what it's going to add the tabs to. And you can adjust this. A good rate would be 3 or 4 tabs. You just go constant number, and it doesn't matter where they go. You can adjust that after as well. Just make sure that the first tab matching the start point, that doesn't really matter, but you can leave that as well. And then a good idea actually is to take your tabs. Again, you can slide them and move them. Not a good thing to have them on a corner. It'd be better if you had them on a straight edge. So if you can slide them all so that they're on a flat surface, and there again, these tabs will hold the material in place as it's being cut. So you'll definitely have to have these. There's no save function there, so you just close it. It'll remember. And then at the very bottom here, there's a name for this. You definitely want to name this so that we know which one it is when we're loading it into the V-Carve program. So that way everybody else is going to have the same profile name and it'll be hard to see which one's yours. So make sure you name it at the very bottom of that and then press calculate. It's going to say, warning, tool's going to cut through the material. The thickness of the material is 0.75. The maximum tool depth is 0.78. And if you're okay with it, and you should be okay because we want to do that, then you just press OK. It just doesn't want you to wreck your table. It's an expensive table that the V-Carve machine is on, but we have a scrap piece of wood underneath it to help solve that problem. So we'll be okay. Alright, so here is our 3D view of what's going to happen. This nice little piece of wood is 3D section. You can see all the laps around the router is going to take. There's a speed here that you can preview this at. So, I would run it probably about 3/4 speed, and you can go preview select tool path if you want to see what the tool bit's going to do. So it's first going to do the center one, and it's going to do the outside one. Makes its way through, and you can see right now little bits of wood that it leaves behind. Those are our tabs. So those are what's going to hold the material in place as it's being cut. And it looks good to me. I can save my preview image, and I might ask my students to do that. I'm not sure yet. And if you do, it'll just take a photocopy of basically this picture here and save it on wherever you want to save it. And I might get them to save it in their file, and so that it can be handed in. Or I might not. I'm not sure yet. What we want to do though for sure is close this, and then with our toolpath, our new Miro 1 toolpath, we want to save this, and we're going to save this in with the save toolpath function. Yeah, there it is. Miro 1 toolpath to be saved. It's an end mill 1/4 inch. The post processor is important. It needs to be CWI professor _ basic / whatever mmg file, and that's what you need. There's many different types of post processors, and this one is specific for the machine. If you don't have it selected, then the machine won't understand the language that you're trying to feed it when you're loading the program. So make sure that this post processor is selected, and then you can just click Save Toolpath, and then I'll save it on my desktop. Again, make sure that you've got it named properly with your name, and then once again, I'll make sure I've got my desktop selected here, and click Save. Now, your teacher will have specific instructions as to what to do with that file. I'm going to minimize this so you can see the files that I've saved. And again, there's my bitmap original. There's my CRV file, my V-Carve program. And here's my MMG file. The MMG file is, again, the language that the program basically will have. It's the exported file, and when you plug your memory stick into your V-Carve machine, you'll have loaded this file onto your memory stick, and that's the file that the V-Carve machine will understand. So yeah, more or less in a nutshell, that's how you take a bitmap, bring it into the V-Carve program, and convert the lines into vectors, and then how you set up your V-Carve machine so that you can cut a design that you want to cut. If you have any questions, come ask the teacher or ask another student. Try to review the video and go through the step-by-step process. It's going to be really helpful to you to be able to figure out how to do this process. Anyhow, best luck, and have fun.